Discover this incredible and heartwarming love story that transformed lives in just 30 days. Sarah Walker rushed through the streets of Maplewood, the crisp evening air biting at her cheeks. But her heart was warm with determination. The community center loomed ahead, illuminated by string lights that danced in the evening breeze. She had faced obstacles that would crush most, raising 2 kids alone after the sudden loss of her husband, but tonight, she could feel hope on the horizon. As she quickened her pace, every step reverberated with the weight of whispered judgments behind her back. The town's gossip felt like a tight noose around her spirit. "Damn it," Sarah muttered, barely glancing up when she bumped into someone, a sturdy man with kind eyes. It was Tom, the retired veteran who had become a familiar face around town, yet remained a mystery. He was known for his stoic silence, but tonight, his eyes sparkled with understanding. "Sorry about that," she said, guilt washing over her as she adjusted the bags in her arms. "No problem," Tom replied, a soft smile breaking his serious exterior. "You're late for the meeting?" "Yeah, just another day in the grind." Her voice trailed off, overwhelmed. She could see the wear in his face too. The shared pain ignited a connection she hadn't expected, and for a moment, their burdens seemed to lighten as they talked. The conversation took on an ease that surprised her. They spoke about loss, resilience, and the struggle to find joy amid heartache. The clamor of townsfolk faded into the background. Sarah felt seen, heard, for the first time since her world had shattered. In Tom's presence, she realized that vulnerability was not a weakness. It was a bridge to healing. But as the night wore on, the looming specter of reality loomed closer. Just a week later, her daughter fell ill. A doctor's appointment turned into a flurry of panic diagnoses, treatments, and the ever-growing pile of medical bills that seemed to mock her efforts. All the sacrifices she made were now threatened by the cold unpredictability of life. Within days, whispers shifted from pity to doubts. "She's not managing like she used to," they would say, voices dripping with condescension. Then came that moment, standing in line at the pharmacy, when she ran into Mary, a former classmate. "I always thought you'd be doing better by now, Sarah." The sting of judgment pierced her heart, igniting a smoldering fury. Before she could spiral, Tom reached out. He rallied the community, urging them to stand together for her. "Let us host a fundraiser," he said, his voice steady with conviction. The phone calls poured in, neighbors pledging silent support, finally hearing her call for help. It was beautiful and terrifying. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now, let's continue. The fundraiser transformed their burden into a shared mission, breathing life back into Maplewood. But through these moments of support, shadows loomed. Would their outstretched hands betray them when Tom's past weighed heavy? Or would Sarah conquer her fears and embrace the love blossoming amidst chaos? Caught between the sweet scent of hope and the bitter taste of doubt, Sarah faced incredible choices ahead. How much could she bear before breaking? Would she be strong enough to protect her children and accept the love she desperately needed? As the energy of the town pulsed around her, one question remained. Could love and unity really change their story? The day of the fundraiser finally arrived, and the community center buzzed with activity. Colorful banners hung from the rafters, together for Sarah sprawling across them in bright letters. Tables were covered with home-baked goods, handmade crafts, and raffle items donated by neighbors looking to help. As she walked in, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Every face she saw was familiar, touched by the spirit of compassion. It was as if they were all saying, "We've got your back." But beneath that warmth lay the icy grip of fear. Would she be able to hold it together? Her heart raced, each beat echoing the pressure building within. Tom stood by the entrance, greeting guests with a smile that spoke volumes. "You're here. That's what matters," he said when she approached, his presence grounding her amidst the chaos. "Thanks for doing all this. I don't know if I deserve it," she replied, her voice trembling. "Of course you do," he insisted, his gaze unwavering and sincere. You've been carrying this weight alone for too long. It's time we share it. His words pushed back the tide of self-doubt, threatening to drown her. As she looked around, she noticed her children, Lily and Ethan, helping at the refreshment table. Their laughter filled the room. It was pure, untainted joy in a moment filled with uncertainty. Then, the mayor took to the makeshift stage that had been pulled together, the crowd gathering around him. Sarah's stomach churned as she listened to him speak, his words capturing the struggle of her journey. Sarah is not just a mother, she is a warrior. Let us show her what community support truly means. The applause erupted, bright and thunderous, a wave of encouragement that washed over her. She felt tears prick her eyes. The light shone brightly, but shadows were still lurking at the edges. As the evening rolled on, Sarah found herself at one of the booths, sorting through donations. It was then she overheard whispers from behind her. She caught fragments of a conversation, laced with bitterness. Isn't it embarrassing? Getting help like this? What is she doing for herself? The words stung, igniting a familiar rush of anger and helplessness. But before she could spiral down that dark path, Tom appeared by her side. Let us take a break outside, he suggested, his tone firm yet gentle. Stepping into the night air, Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, inhaling deep. The coolness brushed against her skin like a balm. I didn't realize how much I needed this. I've been so focused on the work, the planning, the worries. Tom nodded, his expression shifting to something softer. You are not alone in this anymore. Let those voices fade away. We're here because we care. Looking at him, she studied the lines etched on his face, the signs of a life lived with scars. Would he ever share his own story? Even in pain, he radiated strength, and it drew her closer. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, she felt a flicker of something more. Was it hope? Did she dare indulge in the possibility of love amidst all this chaos? Tom, she started, looking into his patient eyes. What if? But before she could finish, a loud cheer erupted from the center. It pulled her back, the moment slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. She realized the evening was ending, but her journey was just beginning. What awaited her in the fading light? Would she choose to embrace this unexpected connection when the shadows returned, or would fear hold her back again? With the noise of the fundraiser still echoing in her heart, one question nagged: could the love she hesitated to accept be the very thing that led her to healing? The night air was thick with excitement as Sarah stepped back inside, her heart still racing. The center was alive with laughter and chatter, the sounds bouncing off the walls, filling the space with a sense of community. She watched the flickering lights above the stage, and a wave of gratitude washed over her. Each smile she encountered felt like a thread weaving her back into the fabric of life she once thought she'd lost. But even as joy surrounded her, the whispers she'd overheard echoed in her mind. They curled around her heart like vines, tugging at her doubts. Did they really believe it was shameful to seek help? Did they think less of her? The thought made her stomach knot tightly. Tom reappeared at her side, his expression steady. You okay? He asked gently, concern lacing his voice. Yeah, just thinking, she replied, unsure of how to voice the turmoil stirring within her. The warmth of their earlier moment lingered like a sweet ache, and she wanted to lean into it, but fear held her back. Want to dance? He asked suddenly, eyes sparkling. Come on, it'll be fun. Surprised, Sarah hesitated. Dance? Here? It's a celebration. We're all here for you. His enthusiasm was contagious. She felt a small smile tug at her lips, and despite her insecurities, she nodded. As they stepped toward the dance floor, a slow song began to play. With tentative movements, they found a rhythm together, swaying gently, lost in the moment. The world around them faded. She was surprised at how easy it felt, letting herself relax into his embrace. As Tom held her, she felt the hard shell she'd built around her heart begin to crack. Thank you for tonight, she whispered, leaning into his shoulder. I don't know how I'd manage without everyone. You've managed a lot on your own. You've got a whole village behind you now. His voice was warm and inviting, giving her strength. I know they care, but I can't shake this feeling, this fear of burdening them. He pulled back slightly to meet her gaze. You're not a burden, Sarah. Your journey matters, and so does your happiness. Her heart raced at his words. The sincerity in his eyes had a way of piercing through her fears. She hesitated, wrestling with the emotions surging forth. Tom, what if don't finish that thought, he interrupted softly. You've spent too long thinking of what ifs. Let us focus on what is. In that moment, she realized he was right. The little voices whispering in the dark couldn't hold her back anymore. They danced until the song faded into another, laughter swirling around them. Each step felt like a declaration that she was ready to step into the light, not alone, but with people who supported her, Tom included. As the night drifted on, the energy of the crowd pulsed in sync with her heart. Could she allow herself to lean into this growing connection? Just then, she caught sight of Lily and Ethan at the crafts table, their little faces beaming with joy, and a thought struck her like a lightning bolt. What would it mean for her kids to see her embrace love and connection? Before she could spiral too deep into her thoughts, the crowd erupted into a cheer, catching her completely off guard. What is happening? She asked, glancing at Tom, whose expression was filled with curiosity. Let us find out, he said, leading her back toward the center of the room. The energy was infectious, and as they moved, Sarah felt something bubbling up within her: excitement, maybe even hope. But what awaited in that chaotic whirlwind of joy? The anticipation hung in the air like a live wire. What unexpected events or revelations would unfold before the night came to a close? As they moved towards the center, Sarah's heart thumped with curiosity. The crowd erupted into laughter and cheers that echoed like fireworks in her chest. She could see a group of folks gathered, whispering excitedly and pointing toward the stage. What was going on? Tom pulled her in closer, a conspiratorial grin spreading across his face. Looks like they're up to something. Come on. He maneuvered through the throng, and as they surged forward, Sarah could feel the energy of the moment wrapping around her like a warm blanket. She glanced around, her eyes darting from animated faces to glowing smiles, each one shining back at her, inviting her in. As they reached the front, Sarah gasped. There, standing on the stage, was Lily, holding a handmade poster that read, "We love you, Mom," in colorful letters. Ethan stood beside her, beaming like a proud little star. The crowd quieted, and then someone called out, "Speech! Speech!" Laughter rippled through the audience, and Sarah felt warmth flood her heart. Lily, her small voice trembling with excitement, shouted, "We just wanted to say you are the best mom ever, and we love how brave you are." The applause that followed sent a shiver through Sarah's spine. She could feel the tears welling up in her eyes as she knelt down to embrace her children. "You guys are amazing. Thank you so much." The crowd cheered louder, their support wrapping around her like a cocoon. She felt like she was floating just above the ground. This was a moment she would cherish forever, a moment that transcended her doubts. But as the cheers died down, she noticed something in Tom's eyes, a flicker of emotion so deep it pulled her attention. Was he feeling left out? The realization broke through the euphoric haze. This celebration was centered around her and her kids, and she didn't want Tom to feel disconnected. Before she could speak, he stepped closer, his voice soft yet firm. "Sarah, your kids are incredible. And so are you. This moment, it's just one of many to come." She felt a rush of affection for him, but also panic. Was she really ready to let someone in so deeply? "What if stop?" he said, gently placing his hand over hers. "Open your heart, Sarah. Just a little more." Just then, the event coordinator stepped forward. "And now, we have a special surprise for our honoree." Music began to play, a joyful tune that filled the air. The crowd erupted once again, and people started to gather in a circle, pulling Sarah and Tom into the heart of it. "What is happening?" Sarah asked, laughter bubbling inside her. "Just wait and see." Tom grinned, and the anticipation came rushing back. Suddenly, everyone began to dance, a wild, unrestrained celebration that felt like freedom unbound. Sarah took a deep breath, and despite her fears, she let herself be swept up in the joy surrounding her. As they began to move, laughter echoing and hands clapping, she felt something shift within her. The worry that had anchored her began to fade. Could she truly embrace this happiness? With Tom beside her, spinning her into the jubilant waves of people, she realized something monumental. She was no longer fighting against her emotions, she was dancing with them. But just as she felt the last of her doubts peel away, a sudden jolt of awareness struck her, a revelation that brought with it tension like never before. What if embracing this happiness also meant facing deeper fears? As Sarah caught Tom's gaze, a question loomed between them, silent yet powerful. What would surrendering to this happiness truly mean? And in that electrifying moment, she realized nothing was as clear as it seemed. The music throbbed in her chest, urging Sarah to move, to let go of her worries, even just for tonight. As she twirled with Tom, an infectious smile blossomed on her face. Each beat of the music matched her racing heart, bringing her further into the moment and out of her head. It felt freeing, like a weight lifted, yet deep within, the question loomed. What was she truly embracing? Lily and Ethan danced nearby, their laughter swirling through the air like confetti. Seeing their joy reflected back at her only made Sarah's heart swell more. This was a celebration of love, a moment stitched together by the kindness and laughter of those around them. But even surrounded by such warmth, a small voice in her mind whispered doubts she couldn't quite silence. Tom leaned in closer, his breath tickling her ear. "You're doing great," he said, grinning. "Just be here. Just be you." The sincerity in his words anchored her as they moved in sync with the crowd. His presence was comforting, yet it felt like he was peeling away layers she had built around her heart. She glanced up at him, unsure if she was ready for this level of intimacy. Would she be enough? Could she really open herself to the kind of love he offered? Before she could ask herself more questions, the music shifted. An upbeat melody filled the air, transforming the joy into something even more electric. People around them erupted in laughter and cheers, jumping as if they were all little kids at a carnival. Sarah felt a wild impulse ignite inside her. With a mischievous laugh, she pulled Tom deeper into the dance, spinning him away before pulling him close again. But he laughed out loud, his eyes sparkling, and then he twirled her as if they were the only two people in the world. The laughter echoed around the square, a stunning blend of her children's voices mixed with the happy hum of the crowd. Sarah watched Tom as he danced, completely immersed in the moment. He was part of this warmth, and a part of her longed to grasp that connection fully. Then, something extraordinary happened. In a split second, she was filled with both excitement and dread. What if she finally surrendered to this abundant happiness and it slipped through her fingers? What if she lost everything again? In that moment, she let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The crowd, the music, her children, and Tom, they all melded into a single beautiful chaos. She pulled away from him briefly, needing space to think. Taking a step back, she could feel her pulse echoing in her ears. "Tom," she called, her voice barely rising above the joyous chaos. When he turned to her, concern flashed in his eyes as he noticed the shift in her expression. "What is it?" he asked, his brows furrowing slightly. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice shaking. "What if this is too much?" He took a step closer, softening his gaze. "It's okay to be scared, Sarah. But maybe fear is just a part of opening up. What is your heart telling you?" She swallowed hard, her heart racing again, but now it felt different. This time, it wasn't just nerves, it was something deeper. She had to confront her fears, the walls she had built in her heart. The music continued, swirling around them, and for the first time, she paused to listen to that inner voice whispering what she had been fighting against. Could she truly open herself up? "Maybe. I want to try," she whispered, catching Tom's gaze. But just as she started to step forward into this new pledge of courage, a loud clap of thunder broke through the celebration. The sky darkened ominously, and as the rain began to fall, Sarah's heart raced not just with uncertainty, but with anticipation. Would this storm bring a shadow over such a perfect day? Or would it wash away her fears, paving the way for something brighter? As the crowd began to scatter for cover, Sarah stood firm, feeling Tom's reassuring presence beside her. She took a deep breath, grounding herself, realizing this was more than just weather. It was an invitation to let the storm cleanse her spirit, and with that washing away, she wondered, would it wash away her worries too? The rain fell steadily at first, cold droplets splattering against the pavement, illuminating the air with a crisp freshness. Sarah stood her ground, heart pounding, the thrill of uncertainty mingling with the intoxicating pulse of the moment. She squeezed Tom's hand tighter, feeling his warmth seep through the fabric of their clothes. "Let us dance in the rain," he laughed, his face lit up, the storm igniting mischief in his eyes. The words struck a chord deep within her heart. Dance in the rain? It felt crazy, exhilarating. It also felt like a challenge to let go of her fears, to embrace the unknown. With a nod, she let out a laugh that echoed in the downpour and pulled Tom closer. Before she could second-guess, they were off, spinning and laughing, their feet splashing in puddles that formed beneath them. Each drop was a little jolt of joy, washing away her anxieties, shredding the ill-fitting cloak of hesitation. They spun like carefree children, tipsy on the thrill of freedom. Tom's laughter intertwined with hers, and for the first time that night, those nagging doubts fell silent. Lily and Ethan found them, equally soaked and beaming, joining in the playful dance as the rain cast a spell of abandonment upon the crowd. Everywhere she looked, people were swapping their worries for laughter, turning a storm into a celebration. The joy in her children's eyes mirrored her own. Yet, even amid this gleeful chaos, a flicker of doubt refused to die out. What if it all ended just as quickly as it had begun? What if, after this night faded, so did she lost again in the shadows of her past? Tom caught her just then, twirling her as if she were weightless, his eyes searching hers. "What is going on in that head of yours?" he asked, his voice a gentle interrogation over the drumming rain. "Just trying to take it all in," she said, breathless and anxious. "I want so much for this moment. But I'm scared." "Scared of what? Of feeling too much? Of letting go?" His voice was steady, as if he could read her thoughts. "Of losing it all," she replied, vulnerability hanging heavy between them. The storm raged around, and yet they stood in the eye of it, suspended in a moment of honesty. Tom stepped closer, the world around them fading into a dull roar. "Sometimes, the best things come from taking risks. You'll never know how beautiful it can be unless you let go of the fear." That simple statement ignited a flicker of courage in her heart. Maybe, just maybe, this was her moment. She swayed slightly in front of him, rain droplets mingling on their skin, each drop feeling like a drop of encouragement. "Okay," she whispered, steeling herself. "I'm going to try. I'll let it in." "Good," he smiled, his face a mix of relief and excitement. "Just breathe." They eased into a dance as rain continued to tumble. It was theirs, the chaotic beauty of a celebration turned into an intimate moment. If this storm could give her the courage to embrace her fears, why not give it a shot? But as the rain poured harder, enveloping them in a curtain of water and joy, a loud crack of thunder shattered the fleeting happiness. The ground shook beneath their feet, and in that split second, Sarah's heart dropped. Her thoughts spiraled back to everything she had ever lost. "Sarah!" She heard Tom shout over nature's fury, concern etching his features. Fear crept in again, tightening its grip as she locked eyes with him. The moment felt fragile, like glass beautiful, yet breakable. Would this truly sweep her fears away, or would the next storm bring only destruction? With that lingering question, in the midst of the thundering storm and enlivening dance, she pondered what the next storm would reveal about her heart and their connection. The sky crackled with energy as the rain beat down mercilessly, mirroring the chaos stirring inside Sarah. She felt the vulnerability creeping back, twisting around her heart, fighting against the rush of joy she had just embraced. Tom's voice, warm and commanding, broke through her turmoil. "Stay with me, Sarah?" His words wrapped around her like a lifeline. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the light in his eyes that shone brightly even as the world around them darkened. The laughter of their children rang out, pure and untainted. With every beat of the rain, she felt the weight of her doubt battling against the shimmer of hope that was beginning to unfold. "Let us find shelter," Ethan shouted, grabbing Lily's hand, trying to lead them away from the madness of the storm. But as they started to retreat, Sarah felt a tug in her heart. This wasn't just a storm. It was a catalyst for change, a chance to discover what lay beneath all the fear. "No," she called out, surprising both herself and Tom. "I want to stay out here. I need this." The declaration hung in the air, heavy with emotion. "What?" Tom asked, excitement glinting in his eyes. "You really want to?" "I do," she breathed, feeling the energy coursing through her. "If I can dance in the rain, maybe I can start to let go of my past." With that, she turned to face the storm, arms wide open, laughing as the cold droplets fell on her skin. The chill was exhilarating. The moment felt electric, like nothing else could touch them but this. Tom joined her, and for a moment, Nothing existed outside their little world. They danced together, pushing boundaries, leaning into the storm, fully alive. The thunder clapped once more, resonating deep inside her, igniting her pulse. It wasn't just the physical act of dancing, it was a declaration. No longer shying away from the elements, she was ready to battle her inner demons. "Look at that," Tom said, pointing to the other partygoers who had started to gather around, laughter and cheers erupting. They weren't hiding from the storm, they were embracing it. A few others stepped forward, joined their wild dance, and the pavement became a shimmering stage, reflecting the chaos above. Sarah felt the warmth of acceptance rise within her. This was freedom. She turned back to Tom, his face glowing with admiration. The connection between them felt alive, palpable. And then another crack of thunder echoed, more imposing this time. Wrapped tightly in her resolve, she turned to face it. "I won't be afraid anymore," she shouted into the rain. Each word carved a path through her insecurities, cutting them down like blades of grass before a mower. A wave of applause erupted from those dancing alongside them. A collective affirmation that rang true. Tom glanced at Sarah, his grin wide. "That's what I'm talking about." In that moment, they were more than just individuals dancing in the rain. They were a community, bonded by the shared understanding of vulnerability and resilience. As the storm raged on, she realized that she didn't have to face her fears alone. But just as joy settled in, she noticed a figure standing at the edge, a familiar silhouette against the curtain of rain. A twist in her heart echoed the storm as recognition sparked. Her past was still lurking, waiting for its chance to confront her. Could she truly face it, or would it steal away everything she had begun to rebuild? With anticipation settling deep in her core, Sarah turned to Tom, the uncertainty in her eyes. Would he stand by her side as the storm continued to rage on? The rumble of thunder was a heartbeat in the chaos, each boom reverberating through Sarah's chest like a challenge she couldn't ignore. She hesitated, her laughter fading for just a moment as she locked eyes with the figure standing back, shrouded in shadows. It was her mother, the very person from whom she had tried to distance herself. The wind howled, causing her heart to race not with joy this time, but with trepidation. "Sarah." Tom's voice cut through her whirlwind of emotions. "Stay with me." He moved closer, his hand extended, offering warmth against the insistent cold of the rain. She wanted to take it. She did. But the weight of her past anchored her feet to the spot. Her resolve wavered, a fleeting uncertainty creeping back in. "I can't," she murmured, her voice barely audible over the storm. "I have to." The rain fell heavier now, each droplet stinging as it hit. Yet, the crowd around them danced with fervor, oblivious to her battle. A growing part of her longed to join them, to lose herself in the moment and forget. But the fear that pulsed in her veins reminded her that turning back wouldn't resolve anything. "Sarah, look at me," Tom said, his expression shifting to something more serious yet tender. "No matter what happens, I'm right here. You don't have to face her alone." His words swirled around her, wrapping her in a blanket of fierce love. She wanted to believe. She wanted to be that person who could confront the ghosts of the past and emerge victorious. The temptation of freedom tugged at her soul, daring her to take the first step. As her mother approached, the visibility of their connection blurred in the rain, but the tension between them crackled like static energy. Every moment felt suspended, as if time had slowed down to let this confrontation seize her entirely. "Sarah," her mother called out, the voice laced with both hesitation and determination. "I'm sorry I stopped," Sarah interrupted, her voice stronger now, rising above the storm. Each step she took towards her mother sent a shockwave through her body. Memories flooded her mind, a childhood that was not just filled with pain, but also love tainted by fear. Tom remained steadfast beside her, a silent strength anchoring her in the tumult. She could feel the fog of doubt beginning to lift, revealing a clearer path ahead. The laughter continued, a backdrop of defiance against the noise of the storm. This was their moment, chaos and catharsis intertwined. Her mother looked bewildered, a reflection of the vulnerability Sarah had just faced. "I came back because I want to fix things. I was wrong to then let us talk," Sarah declared, surprising herself with the authority in her voice. "Let us face this together." In that moment, the storm felt less daunting. She could feel the collective energy of the crowd surrounding them, holding their breath, ready to support her decision. "Whatever happens next, I'm with you," Tom whispered, taking her hand firmly in his. The sky rumbling above seemed to mirror her determination. With a stealing breath, Sarah looked back at her mother, feeling a shift in the air. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where she wouldn't just dance in the rain, but stand tall against whatever awaited her. The storm still raged, but as she faced her past, she felt a flicker of hope ignite. What she didn't know was how deep that confrontation would cut, and whether they could truly rebuild from the ruins of their history. As the drops continued to fall and the chorus of dancers swelled around them, one undeniable truth loomed in the air. Some storms bring healing, while others carve deeper wounds. Would this be a chance for forgiveness, or would it unravel everything she had fought to reclaim? The air was thick with anticipation as Sarah stood, drenched yet determined, facing the woman who had shaped her life in ways both beautiful and broken. Her mother's face was a canvas of regret and hope, shadowed by the rain but illuminated by something deeper. "Can we just talk?" her mother implored, the words tumbling out like lifebuoys in a storm-tossed sea. "I didn't come back to hurt you. I came because I need you to know how sorry I am." Sarah steeled herself. The raindrops drummed a relentless rhythm, as if cheering her on. "You can't just show up after all this time and think it will be easy. Do you know how long I've waited for this moment? How many times I wished you'd fought for me?" A flash of pain crossed her mother's features, piercing through the pouring rain. "I know. I failed you, and it took me too long to realize what I lost. But please, let me explain. There's so much you don't understand." Tom's hand grew warm in hers, grounding her. The noise of the crowd faded into a low hum, their laughter still echoing like a distant melody. It felt surreal, as if the universe had paused to listen to their conversation. "Then tell me," Sarah urged, her voice stronger, filled with an echo of the little girl still seeking answers. "Tell me why you left. Tell me why I had to grow up without you." Each word was heavy with the weight of memories, a flood of confusion and longing. Her mother's eyes brimmed with unshed tears, her own heart breaking at the revelation of her daughter's pain. "I thought I was protecting you," her mother said, voice trembling as she fought against the winds of sorrow. "I thought stepping away would let you have a better life, that maybe your father would. I thought it would keep you safe." "Safe?" Sarah scoffed, the word hitting her like a slap. "You left me to figure all this out alone. I was never safe without you." For a heartbeat, the cracking tension between them stretched thin, fraying like the edges of a threadbare cloth. The storm swirled, wind whipping through their words, carrying the weight of forgiveness yet to be unearthed. "I was so afraid," her mother continued, breaking with a soft plea that melted the chill stinging Sarah's skin. "I was afraid I'd hurt you more by staying. I didn't think you'd ever forgive me. Maybe I could have forgiven you if you'd tried, and not just for me, but for yourself," Sarah replied, her voice softening just a bit. Uncertainty slipped into her heart, mingling with the hope that was beginning to take root. "Whatever happens, I want to walk away this time. I promise," her mother said, sincerity shimmering in her teary eyes. "I want to make it right." Silence fell for a moment as Sarah's heart waged war between anger and yearning. Would she let herself fall back into the narrative of their past? Or could this be the starting line to rebuilding something sacred? Tom squeezed her hand gently, silently asking her to choose. Did she dare hope for reconciliation? The crowd around them began to move, laughter and music swelling around them. Yet all Sarah could hear was the thunder crashing above, a haunting reminder of everything unfinished. "Let us start with the truth," Sarah said at last, her breath shuddering slightly. "If we can face that together, maybe it's a step forward." Her mother nodded, a small flicker of something like relief washing over her. But as they turned to step deeper into the rain, Sarah caught a glimpse of her past out of the corner of her eye, a shadowy figure lurking in the distance. A chill slithered through her, freezing her breath. "Wait," she murmured, her pulse quickening. Who else was at this stormy reunion? What would she discover if she dared to take another step forward? The shadow loomed ominously, a figure emerging from the curtain of rain, a ghost from Sarah's heart that she had hoped to never face again. Her breath caught in her throat as recognition dawned. It was her father, the man whose shadows had cast over her childhood like dark clouds that never lifted. The air crackled with tension, mixing fear and a glimmer of hope. "Sarah," he said, his voice barely louder than the torrential downpour. It was a plea wrapped in remorse, like an echo from the past. Tom tightened his grip on Sarah's hand. "You don't have to face him if you don't want to," he said softly, his eyes reflecting the steady storm of her emotions. A swirl of memories crashed around her, from afternoons spent hiding from that anger, to promises made in the dark of night to never let it define her. Now, standing together with her mother and Tom, she felt the weight of her childhood and all the tangled threads of hurt grappling for space in her heart. "I'm not a little girl anymore," she declared, her voice steady despite the noise around them. "You can't just walk back into my life like nothing happened. There's so much that's been left unresolved." "I know, and I'm sorry," he responded, his voice breaking as rain cascaded down his face, washing away any remnants of arrogance he once held. "I've spent years realizing my mistakes. I wanted to tell you, to make things right, but I was so ashamed." The rain hammered down harder as Sarah stood at the precipice of a decision. Every part of her longed to retreat, yet another part burned fiercely for resolution. She turned to her mother, who stood resolutely at her side, eyes shimmering with a mixture of pride and apprehension. "Do I have to forgive him?" she asked her mother, her voice buzzing with tension. Regret flickered across her mother's face. "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for," she replied softly, "but you can't let it control you. This moment is for you." A quiet strength surged within her, fueled by the faces of her children dancing with pure joy in the background, by Tom's unwavering support, and by a fierce desire to no longer carry the past on her shoulders. "I want to hear you try to explain," Sarah said, an undeniable sense of courage wrapping around her as she took a firm step closer. Each drop of rain felt like a weight lifting, like chains breaking. "But I need to know that you're ready to be better. Not just for me, but for yourself." Her father's face contorted with a myriad of emotions: fear, understanding, desperation. "I am ready," he said, his voice steady amidst the thunder. "I will do whatever it takes to earn your trust." Silence stretched between them, heavy and raw, punctuated only by the sound of the rain that pattered around them. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, tangled with years of regret. It was a risk, and part of her hesitated, wanting to turn back to the laughter and the warmth of community. But the flicker of hope that had ignited within her clamored for attention. "Then let us talk," she said finally, her heart pounding to the rhythm of a new melody, one that spoke of change and rekindled relationships. "Let us begin anew, even amid the storm." As her father stepped closer, Sarah felt a ripple of air shift. Around them, the gathering crowd began to join in, a cacophony of unity and spirit, surrounding her like a cocoon. Laughter, tears, and shared stories swirled together, transforming the storm into a celebration of resilience. With Tom at her side and a new light shining in her heart, she realized that this was the moment to embrace every aspect of her life: the joys, the pains, every piece of the mosaic that made her who she was. And in that unexpected convergence of family and community, Sarah felt a profound sense of liberation. The dark skies brightened above them, and as they prepared to speak of their hearts, a resounding cheer erupted from the crowd, cascading along the path of healing she had taken. Her journey, forged through storms of doubt and resilience, led her here, to this moment of possibility. With the laughter of her children and the steadfast presence of Tom, Sarah fully stepped into her new future. This was no longer just about surviving. It was about thriving. As the wind shifted and the thunder faded into soft applause, she felt a rush of joy, bright and hopeful against the droplets cascading around them. Together, hand in hand, they stepped forward into the light, ready to shape a new narrative filled with love, understanding, and a beautiful sense of belonging. It was time for change, and she was ready to embrace it fully. Now, don't wait even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now if this story touched your heart. Feed the algorithm, and let us keep these incredible narratives flowing. Comment down below with your reactions and feelings about this transformative ending. Your thoughts matter. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of healing and love. Together, we can create a community that thrives on inspiration,